Hi BookTube, it's Amy, and I'm here filming on my new cell phone and returning to my readings of The Anatomy of Bibliomania by Holbrook Jackson. And I'm just looking at the book in the display on my phone, and I think I may need to flip it around because I think I might be mirrored here. But we'll continue on for now. And I'll check out the settings once I've finished this video. But we're beginning with part 5 of Anatomy of Bibliomania with a section titled A Book Fellowship. They are the best company on page 81. The possession of no good can be wholly delightful without a companion. Fellowship is life, lack of fellowship is death, and to all those who dote for select company, books are propitious because they are friends whom we can associate with our choicest thoughts. There are 3 kinds of companions, Sir John Davies claims, after a French writer: men, women, and books. And the greatest of these is books, as the poet maintains. The women we deem that he chose for their looks, and the men for their cellars. The books were his friends. Man delights me not, often, nor woman, but books are the best of good comrades in loneliest nooks. F. D. Maurice holds that the best books are friends, and the best use of books is to discover their friendship. The origin of every book that is a book is a man of genius who wants to share his genius with a reader. He may be writing about a great many things, but it is a man who writes, and when you get acquainted with that man, you get acquainted with the book. And as he follow it, the work is then no more a collection of letters and leaves. It is a friend, and not only a friend, but a rare friend, for, said Dr. Johnson, the best part of every author is in general to be found in his book. This, Cicero, is thy heart. I hear it beating through each purple line. This is thyself, Anacreon, yet thou art wreathed as in Athens with the Cydian vine. I ope thy pages, Milton, and behold, thy spirit meets me in the haunted ground. These are yourselves, your life of life. The wise, minstrel or sage, out of their books are clay. Angels that side by side upon our way walk with us and warn us. And that is a quote from Leighton Bulwer's Book Lovers Anthology. This sense of companionship, which we receive from our love of books, is common to all bibliophiles. It is cousin germain to bibliomania, a concomitant condition, goes hand in hand with it, and is, by the testimony of all book folk, cause and symptom both. But it is here set forth as a condition of book love in its essence, as love of letters, their companionship, friendliness, power to secure and console in solitude, either enforced or voluntary. Enforced solitariness is commonly seen in monks, friars, anchorites, that by their order and course of life must abandon all company, society of other men, and betake themselves to a private cell. Monastic life compels them, as Meriwether points out, to seek the sweet yet silent companionship of friendly books, the willing companions of everyone doomed to lonely hours and dismal solitude. I envy them, those monks of old. Their books they read, their beads they told. Students in voluntary exile joyously apostrophize books, and Richard de Bury, as celestial gifts of divine liberality descending from the Father of light to raise up the rational soul even to heaven. Such are those, some of them, who find shelter among books. I include also among them the sick of body or soul, which I have dilated upon, but all, whether the companionship be cause or effect, enforced or voluntary, come to love books for themselves. They translate them by affection, and by a genial animism, make them more real, more alive than any other corporeal thing, entering into themselves, becoming, by the alchemy of association, at one with their dearest intimacies. If I were blind, said Sylvester de Stacy, I would still take pleasure in holding a beautiful book. But whether it be worth or looks, we gently love or strongly, such virtue doth reside in books. We scarce can love them wrongly. And that is a quote from Cosmo Monkhouse's De Libris in Book Song. No better acquaintances, no truer friends, and like living friends, they have their voices and physiognomies. Nothing in the world so accessible, so eager for friendship. They advise us and talk with us and treat us with a bright and witty familiarity. Nor does each ingratiate itself by its own merit alone, but suggests the names of more. One introduces Petrarch to Marcus Varro, de Officis sends him to Aeneas, and the Tusculan Disputations imbues him with a love of Terence, and 14 more like instances. For he regarded books not as musty parchments, but as friends with whom, saith Tatham, he would freely converse under his own roof. They were men, not shadows. Books were no mere storehouses of words and facts, but the embodiment of living writers. So near our time, Madame de Sévigné was reincarnate out of her letters for Edward Fitzgerald, the companion of his old age, quite alive in the room with him. He was astonished to find that when he looked into Shakespeare, it is not a book, but people, he says, talking all round me. And Dr. Furnivall lived on terms of personal friendship with Chaucer. They are thus our very familiars. We are on the best of terms with them. We enter into their lives and occupations. With Wordsworth, paddle Rydalmere, taste rugged Eliot's home-brewed beer, and with the ears of Rogers at fourscore, hear Garrick, Buskin tread, and Walpole's wit once more. And we're quoting some lines from Whittier, A Magnet in the Realm of Books. And I will point out here, as I have before, that these sentences, in terms of their structure, are far from ordinary. And in terms of the punctuation and structure, it is really difficult to know what tone to take, what intonations to have, and where one sentence or thought ends and another begins. So I am doing my best here, and I apologize if it doesn't always flow as well as I would like. Many know the characters in Shakespeare, Sterne, Dickens, and Thackeray better than their own near friends. The people of Jane Austen's novels, the Dashwoods and Bennets, the Bertrams and Woodhouses, the Thorpes and Musgroves have been admitted as familiar guests to the firesides of many families, where they are known as individually and intimately as if they were living neighbours. Even when they have served their turn as tools, they remain companions. Sir Edmund Gosse looked upon his library as the workshop as well as the playground of a man of letters. These books, he says, have been my tools and are still my companions. Mark Rutherford advised his friend Mrs. Colnut to buy Isbin's Rolsersham and keep it as a companion. To meet with the meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Robert Louis Stevenson testifies, is to touch a royal hand, to look into brave eyes, and to make a noble friend. Learned authors, Joseph Hall attests in his letter to Lord Denny, are the most harmless, the sweetest companions. A scholar lives in heaven, for in one small room he can convene with all the glorious martyrs and fathers, can single out as Pleasure Sentius, Tertullian, or grave Cyprian, or resolute Jerome, or flowing Chrysostom, or divine Ambrose, or devout Bernard, or who alone is all these, heavenly Augustine. Talk with them, hear their wise and holy counsels, verdicts, resolutions, yea, he saith, to rise higher with courtly Esau, learned Paul, all their fellow prophets, apostles, yet more like another Moses, to talk with God himself. And if there be any that think this riding too high, they may rise with Barry Cornwall, as high at least as the angelic hosts, when he called his books angels and seraphim, to both of which I have brought support already in my first chapter, for many bibliophiles are and have been of the same mind, particularly in those times when it was the height of appreciation to attribute all good things to the inspiration of God and his angels. And if this which I have said will not suffice, see more in the Philobiblion of our devout Richard de Bury, Bishop of Durham, or William Ellery Channing, who pines for no other intellectual companionship, if, he says, Milton will cross my threshold to sing to me of paradise, and Shakespeare open to me the world of imagination and the workings of the human heart, and Franklin enrich me with his practical wisdom. So that is the end of that section there. And the next one will be just a short little section titled Conversing with Books. So we'll leave that for the next video here.